here without anyone inside.
This is the Ream Civic radio computer, model RC5120.
We have one of these down at the station, but I never really learned how to use it.
The machine lights up like some prehistoric animal stirring from its slumber, revealing fluorescent play and print keys on the keyboard. It's empty like a beehive without its brood. The filament you have would fit perfectly inside the compartment. Like a smooth draw, the filament slides into place. On the keyboard, the play key starts blinking. A bar of fabric right above the keyboard starts producing a soft hum. The static gets louder, slowly filling up the abandoned hall.
Good afternoon. Fortress accident en rue de Saint-Ghislain. Please repeat. Is this the production schedule? The filament you have inserted into the reader. That was a question. Have you inserted it into the... Good. Please.
Password. Of course it would have a password. That's why there's a human administrator involved.
No.
A hint system is not part of the protocol for repeat.
Still no. I am contractually obliged to protect the privacy of the filament holder for Fortress accident. Without filing a warrant with Lintel, I cannot...
I'm afraid we are not doing that, unless we want...
Now, can you please repeat the password? Received. I will register...
Don't worry. Passwords have...
Fortress accident. Fortress accident is the company on whose name the terminal you are currently... One moment. Fortress accident SCA produces revolutionary interactive...
That's not bad.
Any other questions? Yes, I am alive. I am...
She repeats passwords. Programming people are all paranoid.
I work as a repeater at the East Insulindian Repeater. As for me, well, I... Now, please tell me if there's anything else I can do for Fortress accident. Thank you, and...
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. Nothing happens.
Okay, what do you think is going on with that computer, chalkboard, and fireplace? Yes, that is the question.
Like he's ready to lay out a fine theory. Craft.
It looks like one of those popular pen and paper role-playing games, only these people were trying to automate it, make it work on radio computers. No idea. They stopped filling out the schedule on the chalkboard. Through call-in stations, none of the players have to be physically present. Anyone in the world can participate in the game, as long as they have a two-way radio. Then there's the Game Master frequency that listens in on the smaller call-in stations. I think that was supposed to coordinate the stories.
Coordinating so many games would take a whole switchboard of people, possibly divided into sub-frequencies.
Not to my knowledge. They make automated games in Graz, Messina, Königstein. You know, places...
Not in Revachol West, among the ruins.
But I don't think anyone has attempted to create an inter-isolary game before. Indeed, those Welkins are a dead giveaway. Role-playing people love that stuff. The world looks like a modified version of the WeWorld board game, with hit death thrown in.
Super cool. Someone should give them millions of real. Immediately. This game is too good to be left unfinished.
Indeed, it's ambitious and untethered from reality, but... Yes, especially in here. Okay, let's keep moving.
An iron safety curtain curves before your eyes, folded like a bellows. This must be where the entity lives. What an odd thing to do. Nothing happens. Still nothing. No one's home. A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a compartment behind the wall. It's too dark to see in.
Seems like an old bunker from the revolutionary period. Look at all those rifles. Must be an old weapons cache. There is, yes. And there also appears to be something inside the hole. Interesting. Do you want to take a look? Sure. Okay, here's some more rifles. None of these seem to be working. An old Belmagrave rifle. That's rare to find in such good order. Seems to no longer be... It's yours, officer. You found this place. It means there are firearms, albeit inoperable, still lying around in Martinez. It's an interesting coincidence, I would say. Might come in useful.
He likes this find. You see a terrifying ice bear with a strange compartment in its belly. The bear looks oddly realistic. Is it taxidermy? The lieutenant doesn't answer. His eyes are glued to the animal. A sharp slice of light shines out from a gust of freezing cold air rushes to greet you. You hear a low grumble as the bear regulates itself. The lieutenant takes a peek inside. His hand has found the...
Of course, just a giant ice bear-shaped fridge. Let's take a look inside.
The shelves are empty. All you see are crumpled ice cream wrappers with the brand name, Revachol Ice City. You pocket the note and the little fridge magnets keeping it on the door. A friendly cartoon bear smiles back at you from a glossy cellophane wrapper. It looks nothing like the fridge.
Good question. It looks like an ice cream fridge. I know. What an unfortunate mark. What is even worse, the bear is still costing them money to this day.
The fridge buzzes with energy. The electricity bill on this thing must be cat. thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black.
Looks like it. Looks like an old central furnace used to heat the building. It's connected to the chimney. No one has used it in ages. No signs of any recent fire. Only dead rats.
It's dark and grimy here. In the darkness you can hear chatter. It's coming from above.
What are you doing? Wait, really? Maybe it's coming from behind those safety curtains we saw upstairs.
A lush layer of coal now covers your skin. Maybe you could paint something with this coal. Leave a cave painting for future archaeologists. No, that would be stupid. Something breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths.
Hello? Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There's a safety curtain on the
You hear a low rumble upstairs. The sound of a curtain.
After you, officer.
Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my So what kind of dye are you looking for?
She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelia is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific? I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the dice.
Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident. Does that count?
Very good. My rate is 10 real per set. Unless you want... Take a look around and see if there is any particular stone you want to use.
It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room. Growing, no falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
The lieutenant looks at his notebook. Then,
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see...
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hang.
she's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own...
It's light here, but dark in the yard at night.
It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home.
She nods.
Anything else, officer? How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular Joe. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my not especially. I like working with rare materials.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items.
Of course. Tell me what you have in mind. Ah, yes, fortress accident. It's too bad they never... The Wiro untethered die is a variation of a standard role-playing die, only instead of
ice, death, loss. Sounds like you.
I'm thinking something made from alligator jawbone, cast in black resin. The reptile bone is as white as ice and dead as, well, death. For 7 real, I could have it ready in 8. It's an icosy tetrahedron, a 24-sided die that can produce results for 2-sided, 3-sided, 4-sided, 6-sided, and 12-sided die.
Loving it. So nifty.
Untreated bone is porous and prone to chipping. Cast it in something hard like resin though, and maybe you have some other ideas for dice? What do you mean by cursed? Alright, how about I surprise you? Come back in 8 hours with... Maybe you have some other ideas for dice? A star that fell from the firmament? Those cost more than 7 real. Are you sure? Yes, you definitely have the proper attitude. How about a pair of 100-sided dice?
Pieces of lodestone were used as the first magnetic compasses, from which they derive their other name, course.
10 real, and I can get these ready in 8 hours. It's true, magnetic dice are definitely different. When rolled together, the magnetic fields of the pips interact with each other to push. Maybe you have some other ideas for dice? How about an amber die? Who told you amber was cheap? It's beautiful, really. And for 7 real, I'll craft you a 13-sided die from a piece of amber with a fossilized insect. It's perfect for those who... I had a feeling. Maybe you have some other ideas for dice? A normal die? I'm a novelty dice maker. I don't make polyhedral dice. Dice that have more than 4 sides. Octahedron? Come on now. Be a little creative. I think I have just the right one for you. You're a police officer, right? Here, catch. They're a gift from me.
A beautiful woman tossing you a gift. Whatever you do, don't overthink it. You overthink it. Your hands can't agree what to do, and the 2 dice drop to the...
Down the drain, like your career. I apologize, officer. That comment was unnecessary. That one is made of bloodstone with a lapis lazuli inlay. The other one was the inverse. They were a set. It's a shame. They might have brought you luck. You definitely knew. Now, was there anything else? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides...
Creative.
I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. It's just capitalism. We only hear about tales of success, so it's often surprising to realize how many ventures actually fail. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energy spared her somehow? Oh, right. But it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in racks? Some people say it's part of the building complex. You could say so. Both houses were built at the same time and under the east of the Commerce Central project. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly.
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
What, so the curse only affects people with poor work ethics? What you're describing isn't a curse, it's capitalism. Exactly. Truth is always so disappointing, but I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can...
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like J.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad. It's not about the haircut, it's about the confidence.
I guess it just wasn't the time yet. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemitep's boxing club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back. Kuno. Who's Kuno? Oh, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth? Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone...
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised... Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that would...
What's the snuff milieu?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a Sub Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world.
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did. Anything else? There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. Yeah, the atelier didn't know it either. They produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused... And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. Actually, insects do have brains, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
As she shifts around, you notice several dead flies on the windowsill in front of her.
Anything else? They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumutiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is. Sure, it's illegal, but it's not exactly anything extraordinary in business. Besides, Slipstream is history now.
They were just the props. Why return them? Maybe you could make a sword out of one. No, wait, forget it. It would take too long.
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be the usual. They ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know how in the end they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic and to show up to work on time. And so it's producing something extraordinary. Anything else? Oh boy, the fabled Revoshow ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them.
Indeed. What were the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you...
Fritta does the same thing.
Oh, but they did. They did show up to work, and not alone. There were also acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boys. And they already had the bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, Eventually, Ravenshaw Ice City lost the price war to its rival, Glace 5000. Glace 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents apiece. The taxidermist who made it said it was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desert.
Sounds cool.
Megatherion, a mega wild beast. It's an imaginary beast that by telling you to do more drugs, mostly. Very good. You shouldn't do them. You're a police officer after all. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire. Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I've been here for a long... Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion. The one with an empty name card. It's the last one in the list. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work. Sure, I'm listening. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work. Sure, I'm listening. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
You feel nothing.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
Officer!
Undressing in a stranger's place of business? Yes, it was.
Miss, I apologize for my colleague's behavior. He's still recovering from...
That doesn't really excuse it, does it? The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office.
Does it say anything interesting?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a...
Looks like someone from that radio game company upstairs. I'm a little surprised they just left their property lying here. That's a plausible hypothesis. It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes, right? Really? You don't have a single guess? Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on the filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter. I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the...
Didn't you see one right next to the breaker box? This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top, and turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. Turning the crank feels oddly. You slip your fingers under the frozen lid, but the ice is too cold for you to get a good grip. A pry bar would... No, this is going to need something else. Some kind of super pry bar. Don't even try to open it with a regular pry bar. If you want to try again, then you need to have the pry bar in.
Equip the pry bar by going...
This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top and an electric freezer that appears to be frozen. Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear fridge and the black one to the ice cream maker nearby. An electric sizzle. The room is slightly quieter now. Something close to you dies with a soft electric...
Why did you do that?
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything. The electric distribution board now has... This orange machine is dead still. Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance, you hear water dripping. An old call box with East Delta Commerce Center. This must be the name of the doomed commercial area. An old East Delta Commerce. An off-key melody starts playing after you ring the doorbell.
Kuno, please stop calling here. Grown-ups don't have time for your stupid games.
She thinks you're the gremlin child. What would he say to this?
Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I thought you were... But the doorbell is broken, and the bookstore shouldn't even be on the list anymore, so I can't help...
A single beep indicates that you ring the doorbell. What an ominous name. All you hear is static, but no one answers the call. You ring the doorbell, but nothing happens. You wait for a minute or two, but all you... Looks like someone has melted half the plastic off with a lighter. You hear static from the intercom speaker. It's sad.
Yes, hello. This is Tracy Penny
She sounds almost antique, as if her voice was being played off an old wax cylinder. A receiver must not be working properly.
My God.
The lieutenant exchanges.
It's you. My God.
Who cares that you don't remember her? Just go along with it.
Michelle, just please. Why did you even call? I don't understand. You've been gone for months. I thought you didn't care. Ever since I came to live here,
A spot of static overrides her words. When she speaks again,
it's so nice to be able to finally speak again.
she sounds like she's about to cry. She doesn't answer. Silence. The only thing you can hear now is static and waves washing ashore. Another seagull passes by. It's getting...
I don't know what happened either. We should probably stop playing with this thing.
You press the number sign on the keypad that terminates the call. 12 name cards on the call box read. Silence. No one's home at Fortress Accident. Silence. No one answers the doorbell. Nothing happens after you ring the doorbell. They don't want to talk to you. Silence. No one answers your call. This button looks new, but someone has removed...
This button looks new. I wouldn't be surprised if it hasn't been connected yet.
You're alive and well. Don't keep me waiting now. What's in there? In that dark sarcophagus? Yes, yes?
Tell her how ghastly it was. You know it's what she wants to hear.
But what else did you find? Did anything survive? No, of course not. Have you located the entity? A novelty dice maker? Well, spit it out. Why does she need the dice? For some kind of sorcery? Sometimes they use the ankle bones of sheep. I don't understand. If it's not her, then where is the source of the...
The narrative she's built herself. It does. She's squeezing on the pendant too tight. A drop of blood in her. Just don't say you don't have any answer yet. To hell with it. Perchance you ought to just lie, sire.
Wait, what? The entire economic system is cursed? Another revolution? I understand what's going on here. You went in there, rummaged... It's okay. You don't have to. I was wrong to trust another person. Thank you for nothing. Please, do buy some books, or be on your way.
There was never any other way this could have gone.
I am sorry we had to disappoint you, ma'am. Can we go now?
Okay, but please, only a few questions. You wouldn't want to disturb the spirits.
The woman looks up. This coin-operated viewer is facing south. The instruction manual says to insert 25 centimes. Why place a tourist attraction in the middle of such poverty?
There was a revitalization project in '49. A design studio tried restoring Martinez to its pre-war glory. They got as far as the street lamps and the statue on that intersection. Then something went sour. I suspect that something was Everard Clare, the union leader. He muscled them out. We should have done something about the union 10 years ago. That ship has sailed.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? A lot. For the drinks and broken window, 70. Like what? I was rarely in...
door is closed. Still no answer. This door can only be opened with a key or from the inside. An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. It's nothing. Someone just left some roofing material. Glad you asked. When junior researcher Olari Tal invented Eternite in the Vatna Polytechnic Institute some 30-odd years ago, he thought it would last forever. Hence the name, Eternite. Sadly, the only lasting because there's a secret door hidden behind the panels of Eternite. That's why they're too orderly. There it is. You see a shabby little door.
What is this then? A tool shed?
Be still, my beating heart. It's amphetamine. The lieutenant isn't studying the powder. There's a good vague way to ask where he stands on drug use. Professionally, I mean.
Perhaps not. This is below our pay grade, detective. See that ladder there? It's probably another way into the industrial harbor, no?
Looks like someone left his tarpaulin cloak hanging on the railing here.
Yes, it's probably yours. It bears the RCM insignia, and you have a habit of being careless with your... You could probably make the jump. You look like you've done some track and field in your day.
The wind is aggressive up here. The lieutenant looks at the enormous crane towering in the distance. Over that machine is a Kvalsund 1020 HK.
Is it? Kvalsund makes a lot of heavy equipment, but this is phenomenal. But I digress. We were focusing on your cloak here. What are we doing? We're awfully close to breaking into the industrial harbor. They're bound to have information for it. Or it could be that we are just exploring. The cloak? I do think it's yours, yes. As to whether you should go for it? Well, it doesn't seem too dangerous. 2 meters...
The cloak looks like a bag of goodies floating in the wind. Who knows what its pockets may hide? A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. No one has claimed it for their own. A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. No one has claimed it for their own. Nope, no. That's still too high. You could have died there. Shit, 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 shit. A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. No one has claimed it for their own. Nope, no. A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. No one has claimed it for their own. Nope, no. A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. No one has claimed it for their own. Nope, no. A tarpaulin cloak is still caught on the railing. No one has claimed it for their own. As you leap in the air, a chilly breeze engulfs you, sharpening your senses. Ankles tingling from the tension, blood roaring in your ears. As the concrete floor welcomes you, you realize it's been a while since you felt so alive.
I knew you could do it. My climbing down might not have been as disco as your jump.
With your feet firmly planted on the concrete, the noise of the harbor. On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close.
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork lying around like...
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out, and the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Couron. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, it appears to be a to-do list written in large. Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants. Sweet. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plant. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the drawer slides shut. drawer slides shut smoothly. This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulous. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man is young, dark.
Why did you take that? Fine, but let's move. I don't want to be seen snooping around here.
The chair is not as austere as the rest of the booth. A thin grey pillow is attached. The drawers are empty, save for old time.
I'm not here to tell you what to do, detective.
You take the painkillers. They are yours now. You stand and exit the booth. A rusting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marche and Arrête. Marche. On. Arrête. Off.
Container, container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container.
The lyrics to this Container song are being made up. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi from the Vanishing Peninsula.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, Everard, 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 he looks after everyone. I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh yes, born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. Too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No, sir. Those are...
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Whoa, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union, but him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling them to take some time off. I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hearties.
Look at him. It's not gonna be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow. Too late. Leo's mouth is still moving, and the words are spewing forth. Words. Now he's talking about some drunk sawmill owner who... No. He already switched to a prized fishing rod he apparently owned at some point. You know what?
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pine's livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in... It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone. Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard, I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town. And Mr. Edgar's right-hand man... Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner... But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here, and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes, I... Oh, Lizzie. She is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was...
He respects that word. That's obvious.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood. Knows everybody and gets along. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have... Dr. Lemaitre said so. And she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years she has.
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot, really. Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass for them here. but you guys are all right. Oh, yes, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about... Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done. Yes, yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up. Oh, you want Mr. Everett then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood. Guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made merchandise what it is today. Oh, Mr. Everett is usually in his office, of course. But he already left for the day. He always leaves around 10 p.m. Bye-bye now.
A large table with 2 huge vacuum-insulated thermal coffee dispensers. Someone has forgotten a small plastic. You snatch out the red plastic card. It features a black contour of a crane lifting a container. The name, Etienne Hogarth, is written in the middle. Below it, in...
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of... You should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the street. We'll figure something out.
theme on that pinball machine is a standard royalist theme, used on everything from pinball cabinets to full-flavor cigarettes. Clinging to a picture book version of the past century, waiting for the king to come back and cast out all the profiteers and homosexuals. Basically, imagine a yellow plastic crown with it comes free with a six-pack of Vermilion Roy d'Or. The words Roy d'Or, the sentiment is called anti-centennial nostalgia, pining. You see a heavy steel door with the cobalt blue surf, old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers. 40, it leads to a side building, adjacent to this one. The old building next, the door does not budge.
Can I help you? Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my staff. None of us would tamper with the trash collection service, CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put in...
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threads that solves itself. Thank you anyway.
I think fugue states are more your forte, officer. Yes? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me? Game? Everything is just a game to you, isn't it? Good luck trying to use it.
Draconian measures.
All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a not until you bring me them.
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here. Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we... As a police officer, you must understand that I cannot... Evidence being money. You can't stay here without money. Oh, wonderful. Try to do that. I'll have to call you an ambulance. Not until you bring me the...
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use.
Oh, Lieutenant.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect...
Transport enclosure. Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shots.
I confiscated this for a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity. A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. That they are. I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back. No, that would be silly. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cup with spinners. That would be outrageous. Exactly. As I said, they are useless anyway. I should have remembered Yes, there's one 100 meters south of here. I think it's called Roy's Nest or something. If I'm not...
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners. Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes, guess what's yours? No, you're the sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? Oh, you know, Apocalypse, Superstellar, the advanced interesting cop, Liquid Shack. What? Jealous of the sorry cop? They'll be super fine. It'll be totally okay. You can dual Copo type from sorry to anything. Of course you are. It's okay. See if you can get something out of this, like info. Or maybe every time you say you're sorry, that won't happen.
Yes?
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building.
It's raining. It was clear just an hour ago. Since the street signs messed up? Okay. What do you need? Some shops and a bridge. The canal bridge leads to the coast, but it's broken. Just coast. There's a little fishing village there, and a fish market. But that got closed. No problem.
It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my... What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
I haven't had any problems myself, though some of my customers...
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and...
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mess?
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course. I meant no offense.
Thank you. Here's the 70 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The rest is for him, to compensate for the...
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Oh, no. I don't like those kinds of objects. Aphotic paths, counter-radiance networks, anti-magnetism.
You have absolutely no idea what aphotic paths are, but the tattoos on the man are not that.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad...
He doesn't know anything.
I do my best to keep...
He doesn't know anything. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun.
This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were undeserving of a service weapon, and I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off the charts, she didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig. Truth be told...
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it? You're right that she could cast aspersions on the force. We have to find her.
My apologies, officer, but I...
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow.
Of course. Sure thing. Sure, man.
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now. This panel usually closes the water lock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in...
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Well? Great, thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly... The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do? Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes?
You should pick that fat, juicy cigarette butt from the tray, light it up, and smoke the living shit out of it. Who knows what you are? A monster, a murderer, the gnome of... How very astute of you. This renders it ineffectual. You should look for a whole cigarette, or better yet, an entire pack. Strike that. A carton. Good. They'll make you stronger and better. You're too old to be cool now, but fine. Plus, smoking then gives massive bonuses. This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides, we should discuss...
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM? I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's some...
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we didn't really look at the book, but we performed a thorough search of the premises of the crime scene. That's great. It's not my job to evaluate your methodology, officer. I'm just going. We didn't get to meet Everard, but we did get into the harbor. We didn't talk to the Wild Pines rep. We really must do that tomorrow. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age. And in those nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Ravachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental scheme. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the... Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from... Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station closely. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In this case, not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. The coalition government and the morally... The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now, or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Ravachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the Moralinton leases us the right to keep the peace in this city. And
or if they think you do.
The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day.
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline.
Something kind and usual. Something almost self-explanatory. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner.
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen. Do you? We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Then you will adore Martinez. For many of these people, the Union especially, vigilantes is precisely what we are. Personally, I don't enjoy it much.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his left. An aerostatic passes overhead, the whiskers of its floodlights on the ground below. Kitsuragi's glasses light up as he looks to the sky.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different in land, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks. The jury... We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works. Our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes. Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
This fan has 2 chain pull switches. One end, the blades come squeaking to a halt. It should be easier to reach the tie. You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap. What you have in your hand is a truly hideous thick tie, with 4 or 5 different patterns. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it... A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. It belongs in the new, the third decade of the current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of the revolution. Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold. Forget about ostentatious orchestrations. For Revachol, yours, if it doesn't rhyme, you're not out of the dazzling swirl of disco music in an open air boîte de nuit somewhere in Revachol West. Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone. The click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in sometimes you like to add finger pistols to the mix. There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression. Looking good on you, or anyone. 2 decades, if the calendar is to be trusted. Humanity, you have some understanding of the near history of disco, plus the trivia you've picked up along the way. Episodic memory, not really. Oh must have just stirred your mind. They're more like a disco rock band. It doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return. The bed is cold and not. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your. And then sleep doesn't come. And then sleep doesn't come. Maybe it's the bed's fault. Its synthetic filling has separated into hard lumps. The pillow, it barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Something to do with, what was it that the lieutenant said? Union? Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood? What it says on the can, Harry. Answer the question. Do you remember your wife's hand on your face? You know who I am. I'm the bad day. The one where you ask her, and then later reality will turn into a grotesque. Do you remember the warmth of her thighs, between her legs and in her mouth? Oh no, funky baby, you stayed. It was the rest of it that left. Tell me, where are your friends? No, it's gone. Free time. You failed Elysium. Everything. The pale and the useless. On the surface, you really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6. No, you haven't. You'll just sleep till you'll be back in those cold snake stinky bars. You're not coming back from shit. Thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours. Bumping into. You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry.
this unnourishing? There's something wrong with your thoughts. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you... Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy. Oh, just a dream. You have ones like that all the time. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think. That's not really true. Your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day. It's power, man. It's professionalism. It makes you feel like you're young again and ready to detect. Ready to go to war against the world. Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks, maybe 3. You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You will be fired. Fast recovery, man. Quick turnaround. Super